Welcome back. From the crime beat, two men are in hospital after being shot in separate shooting incidents overnight. The first incident occurred on Ida Street off Balfour Avenue in the Angleston area. That was around 6 p.m. on Sunday. Police found a 59-year-old male suffering from apparent gunshot injuries to his right extremities. The victim, who was talking with individuals when the shooting took place, was transported to hospital by an ambulance. At last reports, he was listed in stable condition. Reports reveal that the victim was talking again with friends when he was shot. The second incident took place on Kwaku Street off East Street just before 2 a.m. this morning. A man was shot by a lone gunman who approached the 48-year-old and shot him in his lower torso and left extremities before fleeing the scene on foot. The Bahamas enjoyed a 14% year-over-year increase in total visitor arrivals to 5.7 million people for the first half of 2024. The Ministry of Tourism, Investments and Aviation revealing on Thursday the statistics in a statement issued ahead of its participation in the State of the Tourism Industry Conference, where it will look to tout this performance amid expectations that the Bahamas will beat last year's 9.6 million visitor arrival for 2023. Additionally, thus far, the government has reportedly pegged visitor spending at approximately $6 billion. The State of Tourism Industry Conference Summit began today and will run until Friday, September 6th at the Westin Grand Cayman 7 Mile Beach Resort. Following up on his promise that there will be no backing down on banking reform talks, as now is the time, opposition leader Michael Pintard announced during the FNM's emergency press conference last week that the opposition has indeed begun the process and met with the regulators of the banking sector.
Before we came here, we're talking about banking reform right now as a party. And we've made some concrete recommendations on our policy position when we come to government either next year or the following year. Today, we met with the governor of the central bank. We had a very productive discussion with the governor and his entire senior team. We are about dialogue with a view of taking action that is informed by the information.
Mr. Pintard recently released a brief outline of the key reform efforts that the Free National Movement believes are necessary to create a more dynamic, competitive, and inclusive retail banking sector in the Bahamas. Meanwhile, the central bank announced recently that it announced in its semi-annual survey of retail bank fees that it is taking steps to make targeted reforms on fee-setting practices by local banks, while at the same time trying to preserve the viability of the banking sector. And finally, after the roof of an emergency shelter under construction on Abaco collapsed over the weekend on the 5th anniversary of Hurricane Dorian, the Disaster Risk Management Authority will send a team to investigate and look at the reconstruction. It happened between the night of Saturday, August 31st, and early morning of Sunday, September 1st. The Disaster Reconstruction Management Agency says approximately 50% of the trusses in the middle bay of the structure, or the middle part of the structure, collapsed. At this time, they cannot confirm the exact cause of the incident, but say they are close to communicating with the contractor, Mr. Wilkins Solutions, and the project manager, Chris Simonet and Associates, who have oversight, and they are assessing the situation. No one was injured in the incident. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.